This is a presentation of BSRN, Box Studios Radio Network. The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears, with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here is your host of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for November 21st, 2024. This is Season 14, Episode number 21, and Episode number 460 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Folks, we have a great show for you. I am your host, Bob Howard, and great show for you. A lot of content, a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of stuff to maybe kind of sift through in my brain, which is, really clouded with a lot of, conflicting kind of things that are in there, especially about this past weekend in Danbury. And, just the reaction from the league is just disappointing in many, many, many ways. And it's unfortunate because it took them until Wednesday, which I can understand taking some time to make the decisions on penalties of these sorts, suspensions of these sorts, or trying to figure out what really happened. There has to be some sort of investigation. I don't know if there really was a real investigation, but I'm sure there was conversations. I know there were conversations between even the ownership groups of Binghamton and Danbury to find out what went wrong. How can we make things better? And let's be honest. I don't know if things are going to change. It saddens me that things may not change and that we could have other altercations and different things that would make it worse. And I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that doesn't happen here in Binghamton. I think we have I don't want to say this to sound ageist or whatever, but I think we have a mature audience in Binghamton when it comes to hockey. I know there's rambunctious fans everywhere you go, but I don't think that our fans will take it to the level that maybe some of the fans in Danbury did. And, were there faults on either side? Yes. But I'm going to say this. Are the faults that are not being punished worse than the faults that are being punished? What does that mean? I'll tell you what that means. Are the faults of how the ownership group and the management of the Danbury Ice Arena not taking care of certain things all weekend long? Let's be honest. And I'm going to blast the leadership group here in the FPHL. If you cannot provide a proper medical professional, you guys are going to have some serious problems. And you're lucky that maybe you're not going to get litigation for somebody not being able to be there to take care of an athlete that was injured. And it's not the first time this league has had this kind of problem before. And one of these days, the league is going to shut down because someone's going to die. That's the seriousness of this. And that's what people need to understand who run this league. Your league is going to die because you're going to let somebody die. It's a serious situation. This is not a joke, right? You want to suspend Brant Sherwood because he threw a water bottle into the stands after he was incited, right? So let's talk about this for a second. You think that Brant Sherwood was inciting the fans. Come on down and fight me. Yeah, okay. So what about what happened beforehand? Where's the security? Why do you have to bring in 8 police officers? Why weren't people kicked out? Why is Herm emailing fans in Binghamton lying about the situation? Right? When they're emailing Don Kernan, Sarge, Herm's responding back? Are you kidding me? This is your response? You don't even put a response on the website? The Fed website? I'll tell you, folks, the more and more we get deeper into this, the more and more I truly believe the statements that I made last Sunday are true. The league is afraid of Danbury. They're afraid of the mob-like mentality that they run their organization. And it's true. They let fans do whatever they want. They bring police in when they do not want to handle the situations professionally. And that's an unfortunate thing. This is supposed to be pro hockey. These are young guys. I interview these guys all the time. They're great guys. They're smart. They're intelligent. And they have to be involved in that kind of thing. And you know what? Brant Sherwood told me, he goes, I wish we wouldn't have played on Saturday. Those were his words. You know how sad that is? That a head coach has to honestly say, I wish we didn't play on Saturday. I mean, you got the win, 4-0 win. That was a great win. But the simple fact of the matter is, he still was upset about what happened on Friday night. That not only did one of his players not get the proper medical attention that he needed, and that is a problem that has not been addressed, that was not addressed on Saturday, because when Brant Sherwood asked to speak with the doctor, can I talk to the doctor that is present or the medical professional is present? They said, oh, yeah, sure. And guess who never came by to see Brant Sherwood? Yeah, exactly. So let's be perfectly honest. Nothing's going to change, right? And it's sad. It just really is sad. But that was then. Brant Sherwood has been suspended for 4 games. Stephan has been suspended for 2 games. The league was lenient on the rest of the team. Dan Weber, obviously flipping the bird. They felt he was provoked by the fans, so they let him off with a, maybe a warning. I don't even think that happened. But just they let him off. The banging on the glass, they let that go. Even the water that was splurted into the fans from I believe it might have been Austin Thompson. I could be wrong on that. That was let go. No suspensions there. So the league kind of thought a little bit better. And you know what? This is a black eye. I'm sorry, but this is a black eye on the league. But this is a black eye on the league, not on Brant Sherwood, not on the Binghamton Black Bears. It's a black eye to the league and to the Danbury Hat Tricks. And Herm and the ownership group there, it's a black eye on them. Again, they're the ones that wanted Amesbury there. And it took injury after injury after injury for the league to finally say, okay, enough is enough. We have to let this guy go. There are insurance reasons why. And you just, Vanderweel could have, probably done litigation against the league. But he didn't, So, again, the league is not going to do anything about Danbury. So here's my plea to you, the fans of Binghamton. Please, next Wednesday, when Danbury comes in, show how amazing the Binghamton hockey fans are. We cannot fix the fact that Danbury is not going to be punished for their major mistakes this past weekend. So let's show the league and let's show Binghamton hockey how great it is. How we've grown up in 52 years. We are not the same punks that we were maybe in the Duster days and in the Whaler days when we did some crazy stuff and there was fighting in the stands and our players fighting in stands in like Rochester. Or none of that needs to happen now. So let's make sure that we don't do that. Let's boo the crap out of the Hat Tricks. Johnny Ruiz, he'll respect that. Boo those guys. When a player gets injured, we don't cheer. We respectfully clap when he gets up and goes off the ice. But let's keep it classy, Binghamton. That's the most important thing. That's what I can say here. That's very important. I don't want to see it get any uglier. It needs to stop. I think Danbury realizes it needs to stop. Whether or not they're going to fix anything on their side, I don't know. We will certainly see. It was a scary situation for the fans that were in there that were trying not to be that way, and it was scary for some of the players. And they reacted. There's been punishments levied. Hopefully we can move on. All right. The Power Play Post is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast, and please subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and search for the Power Play Post Show and share any of your posts with all of your friends. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for the Binghamton Hockey information and curiosity. And on this edition of the Power Play Post Show, we will speak to the owner of the Binghamton Black Bears, Andreas Johansson, and a great interview. I cannot wait for you guys to hear this from the Binghamton Black Bears. He is defenseman Cam Cervone. Excellent, excellent guy. He's known Toast for a long time. They're both from Michigan. They train together. Awesome, awesome interview with Cam Cervone. All right, let's get into this. All right, Cameron Clark joins the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs in the SPHL. In 12 games played in Binghamton this season, Cam has 8 goals, 7 assists for 15 points, and was second in scoring on the Black Bears. Congratulations to Cam. Good job for you. Okay, I've already kind of mentioned this a little bit, but Brant, Sherwood, and Stephan were suspended on Wednesday for their actions in the game on Saturday in Danbury. Steph was suspended due to flipping the bird to the fans after removing his glove at the end of the game. Now, I spoke to Steph a little bit today, and he did say, well, this is on Wednesday when I recorded this, that he did get beer poured on him. I think at that point, they win the game. He was frustrated, still with the fans behind them, and decided to do that as well. Okay. Brant was suspended because of multiple reasons. He got 4 games. Not controlling his players, inciting the fans, throwing a water bottle into the stands and hitting a fan with the water bottle. No other players were suspended by the league at the request of Danbury and partially because of the recommendation of the Board of Governors. The feeling was that the players were defending themselves with an inadequate security that were there to protect the players. Now, with that being said, I am hoping that there will be changes in Danbury to provide better security. The one security guard that kind of got in the argument with Brant Sherwood, both of them were in the wrong. Let's be honest. Brant shouldn't have gotten into the argument or yelling at the security guard or doing anything that he was doing. And the security guard should have been getting in front of fans, stopping the fans from what they were doing. That's the problem there. So obviously there's that. There are so many issues in Danbury that need to be addressed, and I just don't think the league is going to do it. And I'm going to leave it at that. Unfortunately, I've talked to Andreas Johansson a lot in the last 2 days, and I told him that, and I'm hoping, and I'm begging you, the fans in Binghamton, to be classy, that there is a belief by the fans that the league penalizes the Black Bears more than they do Danbury in all these situations. That Danbury they get off a lot, and that could be bad. It's a bad perception when the biggest fan base in your league is the one that's being punished the most. Okay, so I've talked to Andreas about that. Andreas listens to me a lot, and whenever I want to reach out to him, he's always there for me, which is great, and I do appreciate that. Andreas, thank you very much for that. If you listen to this. But I think, I did see an online conversation, fans emailing Don Kernan and, of course, Sarge. So that's fine. If you guys want to do that, do that. Do it as much as you can, because it might be the only thing that could precipitate some sort of change when it comes to the Danbury hat tricks. They may have to put measures in place that will find a way to protect the players. Player safety needs to be the most important. And I'll be honest with you, what I watched on Saturday made me feel worried about the players and, the interactions between that. And I'm going to say this as well. if anybody's listening from the league, whether you're a coach, general manager, an owner of the team, from any of the teams, if you know of any situations where Binghamton has come and there's been this much disruption between Binghamton and your city, please reach out to me. I'd like to know. Because as far as I know, Binghamton has gone to Watertown, no issues. Carolina, no issues. Columbus, no issues. Watertown, which is one of our biggest rivals, no issues. Elmira, no issues. Hudson Valley, well, it's only been a couple games, but no issues. But if you are a coach or a general manager or a team president, whatever, owner, and you listen to the show and you know of an incident where it's like, well, you know what? Bob's wrong here. It's not just Danbury. Binghamton comes. I don't think I'm going to get a response. I don't think anybody's going to call me up or send me an email or a message on Facebook and say, Bob, when Binghamton came here, it's only Danbury. Why is that? Think about that for a second, folks. Really think about that. That's the hard part. And the legend, I know you're going to Danbury again, and I know there's a lot of great fans in Danbury. Just be safe, my brother. That's all I'm saying. All right, the Black Bears have one game this weekend, again in Danbury on Saturday night at the Danbury Ice Arena. The Black Bears played last Friday and Saturday in Danbury, defeating the Hat Tricks 2-1 on Friday night and 4-0 on Saturday night. Nolan Egbert was excellent for the Black Bears in both starts in Danbury. This raises the question, who do you start in Danbury this upcoming weekend? Both Connor and Nolan are coming off shutout starts, a great problem for Brant Sherwood to have. So it is possible that behind the bench for the Black Bears on Saturday will be goaltending coach Jared Levine, because you got to have somebody, a suit back there, really more for the ref to go over and say, hey, I'm a bumbling idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. This is what I decided. Obviously, Cameron Clark is in Roanoke. Kyle Stephan will be suspended for the next two games, which is the two Danbury games, one at home on next Wednesday, and then, of course, on this upcoming Saturday. The Black Bears need to go into Danbury with a mission. This is from Bob. Any of the Black Bears fans, Black Bears players listening, this is for you. This is the mission. Play hard. Limit power play opportunities for the Hat Tricks, and continue the solid penalty kill play. And most importantly, they need to ignore the fans or any distractions and just come out with 3 points. That's it. Just come out with 3 points. It'll be a great weekend. You guys have Friday night off. Enjoy it. Just go and be there. And maybe someday, we won't have this story about Binghamton and Danbury. Because if all this stuff that happened last weekend was on the ice, I'd be like, it's perfect. That's exactly how you want two teams on the ice to dislike each other, right? And instead, I think there's more respect on the ice between these two teams, right? Tyson Kirkby, Johnny Ruiz respect each other. I know it. I know for a fact that they do. They both do. And yet, off the ice, organizations having a hard time even remotely getting along and having a conversation together. That's sad, folks. It really is. Because that's not for the benefit of you, the fans, the players, and the sport of hockey, which is one of the best things out there. Okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to play my interview with Andreas Johansson. It's very important. I think I want you guys to really hear this with Andreas because of my conversation with him about a medical professional in the hockey arenas. He talks about it. And, we talk about a couple other things, including the good play of the Binghamton Black Bears, obviously, this season. And, obviously, trying to run it back to win another championship. And I also talked to him about kind of the stuff that happened this weekend, including the Jesse Anderson injury that probably wasn't handled and taken care of in the best way down in Danbury. And Andreas also talks about their relationship with UHS here in Binghamton, which provides a medical professional to be here because they have a working relationship with UHS, which is a good thing. So, coming up next here on the Power Play Post Show will be Andreas Johansson, the owner of the Binghamton Black Bears. And then after him, Cam Cervone, defenseman for the Binghamton Black Bears. And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buczynski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. I have a little bit of a special guest here that I wanted to bring in. As everybody knows, there was some craziness that went down in Danbury, Connecticut. Obviously, this past weekend, the Binghamton Black Bears came away with 2 wins and 6 points, a 2-1 win on Friday night, and, of course, a 4-0 win for the Black Bears on Saturday night. And we've chronicled a little bit of what happened on Saturday night. And, of course, on the Facebook group, we've talked about some of the things that happened on Friday night. Well, we have Black Bears owner Andreas Johansson here again to kind of talk to us about a couple of those things. Andreas, welcome back to the show. It's good to have you. We're going to talk about a couple good things first, and then we'll get into what the meat and potatoes of what I want to talk about on Friday. But welcome back to the show. We really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Always a pleasure being on.
So, Andreas, obviously the team is 10-1-1 through the first 12 games, playing very well. Maybe in the beginning of the season there was a few games where it was high scoring and maybe the team defense wasn't all that good, but Brant and the team have kind of pulled it together and have looked really good in really the last 6 or 7 games. What are your thoughts so far on the start of the season?
No, I would certainly agree with that. I think our play right now is incredibly stable defensively, and I think we really deserve a lot of credit for how we got through a period with really an unusual amount of injuries for being this early in the season.
Yeah.
And the guys fought through it. We got to see a lot of the guys that weren't necessarily on the top line or top 2 lines when the year started step up. So I'm really happy, and obviously the record shows that too.
Yeah, and without a doubt, some of the benefits of some of the guys stepping up. Third line Cam Clark goes up to the first line. Now has been he's now on loan with Roanoke, so that's obviously a good thing. We always want to see players kind of move in like that, and so that's always a good thing. And good luck to Cam, obviously, on that. Overall, do you think the plan is going the right way for the Black Bears to potentially repeat?
Well, yeah, I think so. We're winning games. We're finding, I think one of the real positives is we're finding ways to win.
Yep.
Even when we might be down in a game, we might not be playing our best. We might be missing some key players. So we find ways to win games, which is kind of how last year was too. So I'm feeling really good. And, obviously C-Max played very well.
Mm-hmm.
Eggie had an outstanding weekend. So you always need that from your goaltenders. So, yeah, I'm feeling good about where we are. It's a shame with Cam, with Clarkie going to Roanoke. Like, I personally don't like when guys see the SP as a step up.
Sure.
But it is what it is. And I still wish him all the best.
Yeah, and of course he's probably welcome to come back at any time. And if he and if he does, I mean, he'll just fit in very nicely. Let me ask you a little bit about Friday night. So Friday night, the Black Bears obviously playing the game. It's a 2-1 game. Jesse Anderson is at the bottom of a pile, and he does get hurt, and there's an injury. And injuries happen in hockey all the time. Matter of fact, most players don't make it through 10 games without having some sort of bump and bruise. But this was one that was a little bit more on the serious side. And reports are coming out that it is possible that the Danbury Hat organization or the arena or whoever is supposed to have that medical professional there, whether it's an EMT or a trainer or somebody that is able, a team doctor, to provide medical attention to somebody if they need it, instead of trying to just rush somebody to the hospital. It's an unfortunate incident that obviously happened. What can you tell us about what the Board of Governors have agreed upon to have at the arenas during the games?
Yeah, so obviously without specifically referencing Friday's situation, the rule is you need to have a qualified either an EMT or an MD. A trainer. Trainers are fine to have also, but you do need to have a doctor, ideally that sits in the stands and has view of the whole ice, which is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a doctor, I think there's a rule where at least at the end of every period, a medical professional has to attend to both locker rooms. It's something like that. I don't know exactly the wording, but
sure.
that's kind of how it's supposed to be.
The confusion coming out of Friday is that it doesn't appear that there was somebody qualified enough to attend to Jesse. Is that true? Is that a true statement, or is that not true?
Well, I mean, that is, I want to be a little careful what I say.
Sure.
I don't know who's going to listen to this, right? And
fair enough.
But I mean, from what I've been told, and I have no reason not to believe my players, is that Jesse was told by the trainer who helped him off the ice
mm-hmm.
that there was no doctor on site to help him. So he was taken to the hospital. I didn't know until I think it was Brant texted me, and then Jesse texted me that he was in the ER, getting stitches. And while Danbury are saying, no, there was a doctor there, but he did not feel comfortable giving stitches that close to the eye. And I mean, whichever case it is between those two, it's still, if you can't do the stitches, then
mm-hmm.
what if it was a more serious injury? Like what would we be looking at then? So I don't think either answer is very good.
Yeah.
I think it's something that they will address. I mean, it has been brought up since, and I think they know what the situation is, but it certainly was kind of, I'll say it was a little bit of like a catalyst for the rest of the weekend.
So let me ask you this. Let's compare it to the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena. When we have games in Binghamton at our home rink, what type of medical professionals are there? Who organizes that? Is that something that the team organizes? Is it something that Broome County, who runs the arena, organizes? How is that handled in our arena?
So obviously we got a trainer that really serves both teams, unless the road team brings their own, which usually I don't know if anybody does that in the league right now. And then we do have like full on medical, which UHS provides doctors for every game, and they sit in the stands kind of like pretty close to where our tunnel is, like maybe like 8 or 9 rows up there.
Oh, okay. I never knew
so
that.
They can get to, most injuries, they'll try to treat them in the locker room.
Sure.
Like our side has kind of a full medical suite, if that makes sense, where you can do quite a lot of stuff, and it's a little bit more limited on the visitor side, but most of the things can be attended to there. And then we have, I don't think we have an ambulance parked at the rink, because we have we got the police stations across the street, so they have one sitting there. But that's how we have it. And we've been fortunate a couple times that we've had a couple of injuries. I mean, Wally, a year and a half ago in the playoffs was pretty bad. I think Nikita's had 1 or 2, and I'm probably forgetting.
I think Nikita probably got hit about like 10 times, and probably
Nikita had a few times where he didn't know who he was, and you couldn't really ask him because he couldn't answer you anyway.
But I'm not making fun of Nikita, but how many times did we see Nikita get hit hard, lay down on the ice, and we're like, okay, is he going to move? Is he going to move? Nikita, are you moving?
I remember one game. I think it was early this season where he goes right into the boards and he looks not very good. So Adele, his fiance or maybe wife now, I'm not sure, texted me, and I said, all right, let's go check on him. And I said, can you come with me? Because I don't know what he's saying. And she's pretty shaken up by how he's going to be doing. And I'm kind of, we put a lot of work into getting Nikita back over from Russia. So I'm like, man, this is not good, and we go down and she's worried and I'm worried, and I'm trying to text the doctor and, I can't get an answer. And as we're coming down, I'm hearing the fans roaring, and it's because Nikita is standing by the door to go back on the ice. And I asked the trainer, is he all right? She said, I have no idea. He can't really talk to me. And, so that happened a bunch of times with Nikita, where he was, you could see like the whites of his eyes, and then the next day he's like, I play. and he did.
Now, so the doctor that's up in the stands, it's a relationship that the team also has with UHS, right? Because I believe there's a partnership between UHS and the Black Bears. So that makes it a little bit easier. They provide that. It's probably part of the whole advertising and getting a banner
and that's
the arena
fairly
stuff.
typical with most teams. I mean, we had the same setup in Watertown with Samaritan Hospital, and I think most, like I know Elmira had the Arnott's Hospital. Like it's pretty common because like a lot of the doctors enjoy going there anyway, and it's it would be very, very expensive to be paying a doctor just to sit there and likely not really have to do anything.
Right. So in Binghamton's case, you can at least speak for Binghamton. That is something that you guys, through your partnership with UHS, they provide the doctor, and he's there to help, or he or she there to help if need be when an emergency might happen in that case.
Yeah, and they'll be able to obviously some of the things they can fix on site.
Yeah.
And they'll also know if the person needs to go to hospital, which thankfully doesn't happen too often. That it's, they often need to be seen by a doctor, but most of the time you can wait. It's pretty rare that, someone's going to leave in an ambulance. I think I can count on one hand the number of times we've had that in our building. But we also have fairly advanced equipment and a really good medical room. I know in Watertown, we were more limited. You put him on a stretcher in the hallway, and they tried their best to assess it. But you're a little more limited in what you can do, and that's pretty normal. But they do need to have someone that can attend to an emergency. I mean, I think in Jesse's case, I mean, it ended up only being 4 stitches, but I mean, if it goes an inch the other way, I mean, it's a whole different situation we're dealing with.
Without you telling me, thank you very much for that. The medical stuff, I think, is very important. I think there was some confusion, and there was a lot of questions. People asking, why wasn't there somebody there? Blah blah blah. And that's answers that I can't give. And I don't think we necessarily gave all the answers here in this conversation. But you helped us understand a little bit better, at least how we handle it here in Binghamton, which I think is great, because it's important for both teams when they come into Binghamton to be able to know that there's somebody there that might help them when something bad could potentially happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let me ask you a little bit about the fiasco, not necessarily on Saturday night, but Friday night after the game. Without giving us really any details about conversations, has there been a conversation between you and maybe the ownership of Danbury and maybe even their arena about how to better handle a team that might come in for 2 games, and you have to put the equipment somewhere? I think that's what some people don't understand. When the game is over and the guys take off their equipment and they take a shower, they can leave, but the equipment managers, they have work to do. I mean, there's cleaning the equipment, cleaning uniforms, drying the equipment, which is probably the hardest part with all the big fans that they have to use. Has there been a conversation between you and them to hopefully not ever go back into that kind of situation again that happened Friday night?
Yeah, we had a pretty productive call yesterday with their ownership group between both Herm and Jim Diamond, and I think I don't know exactly what was behind it. I think it may have been at least from what they're saying is it was meant to have been communicated much earlier, like maybe on the Thursday or the Wednesday, at which point, we could have gotten another hotel room and just stored it in there, which still would be a little bit of a hassle, but it would be a lot less of a hassle than what it ended up being.
Right, because you can make plans. You can plan ahead, in other words.
Yeah, and I understand, Danbury, the league has the rules, but, there's always, we try to be flexible. We understand, if you have an event, we'll try to accommodate,
sure,
and help you out. But of course, when you find out at puck drop that, hey, you got to move all your stuff, of course, it's near impossible for them to get that done. And then for a while, I don't think there was an option for another room, and it kind of went back and forth. But I think Johnny Ruiz stepped in and really helped out. And Dylan was. He was in good spirits today after. These things, they happen. And it's certainly not something we want to see happen on either side. And I know Danbury don't either. No. But I think it definitely got a little out of hand. but I don't, I don't think we'll see that situation again.
Good. I'm going to kind of leave the Saturday night game kind of like, off topic a little bit as you and I are recording this here on Tuesday night. We don't know what might be the fallout, if there is any fallout. I know that there were bad actors maybe, in the stands. I know that, in some cases it's hard to say what a player or a coach should do in those kind of situations. I will say this to you. I hope in the future that, we don't have to worry about any fan in Binghamton or in any arena kind of interacting. It's kind of like the whole Jeffrey Mayer, catching the ball during the World Series for the New York Yankees. You just don't want that kind of interaction to happen. It's okay to boo. It's okay to cheer. It's okay to, maybe turn your back or put a bag over your head like the Cleveland Browns did, the fans did for the longest time in the 80s and the early 90s and stuff. But the interaction that we've seen, we saw that in Binghamton well back in the 70s, in the 80s. And I thought we were past that, and I think our fans probably are past that and everything. So I hope that we don't see more interactions like that again in the future, because it does nothing to help promote the game in a positive way.
No, I would agree. And I think in a strange way, like this may have been almost like a catalyst for change in Danbury too, because we've had, how many games have we had like this in the past where there's tension? There, a lot of them, right? But it's never actually got to the point where what happened, right? So I think, speaking with Herm and speaking with Jim after the game and yesterday when everybody kind of had a day or two to kind of settle down and everything, like they're aware of what happened, and that there wasn't, from what we could all see, that there wasn't enough security and they weren't exactly interested in
helping
protecting our players. But I do think like between the league and us and the ownership in Danbury, like there's enough desire to make a change, because I don't like, it's obviously it's a bad look for both sides, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't like our guys getting attacked like that, and then you can always argue, did our players and coach and staff react appropriately? And this is probably after the decided suspensions anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I can't see that. I know if I was Brant or if I was Tomer or Weebs or anybody that was on the bench there, you could see the video, I think I would have reacted the same way.
Yeah.
Like if I'm getting attacked and at the same time I know I'm not going to get protected, like what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, and I think I said to you off air, maybe one of the things that could have been done is you just take your whole team and you take them into the locker room, and then you let the referees decide from there, do we continue the game or do we not, depending on what happened. That's about the only thing. Otherwise, I understand the reaction from the players and, Brant, Sherwood, because, again, the fans should not be involved in the game in that way, and that's the unfortunate parts of this.
And I think leaving the ice, actually, at the time it happened, would have probably been more dangerous or difficult, just because the way the setup is in Danbury. Like, where you go to the locker room is right where whoever stands the furthest to the left, like towards the center of the player bench. Like that's where you go into the locker room. And because it wasn't at the end of the game, I don't think the tunnel was there.
Oh,
so
they did bring.
Walking the plank, I think would have been actually worse than staying where we were. I think, in hindsight, or not in hindsight, we couldn't have really done anything. But you kind of, I was probably expecting that maybe they weren't going to call the game, but definitely that they were going to
pause it for a little bit.
Yeah, make sure everybody was either 4 or 5 rows back, or throw people. I don't know. Like, obviously, that it's easy to, and in a way, they probably just wanted to get it done and over with as soon as possible. But I do think that, leaving the ice, I think, would have been difficult, even though I kind of, that would have been an option had the setup maybe been a little bit different.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Andreas, thank you so much. I really appreciate the fact that, you give me the access to be able to engage with you on these conversations. Sometimes they're great conversations, and sometimes they're about tough situations. And I really 100% truly appreciate the fact that you give me that access. And
no, it's fine. And I want our fans to know, too, kind of what goes on, because I know when, sometimes you see a video online or you hear something and, it could take a life of its own, right?
Yeah.
And I do want to say, though, like I do feel that maybe for the first time since, all this kind of started, a year or two ago, that the real kind of challenges we've had playing each other, that we've actually had a constructive, like, let's not point fingers conversation, and instead, let's solve the problem that's there. Because the rivalry on the ice is great. I mean, it was great hockey games. They were clean, right?
Both,
I mean, there wasn't. Yeah. I mean, there wasn't anything. There was maybe a
couple hits on Dan Weber.
Couple hits. I mean, that was kind of what started on Saturday, right? With Weber again. But I don't know. Like, I didn't. To be honest, I haven't really barely seen the hit because there's been so much else going on.
Yeah.
It looks like it was kind of a dangerous play.
Yeah.
And obviously, where it happened on the ice didn't exactly help. Like, right in front of our bench almost. So, like, had it been somewhere else on the ice, maybe it doesn't become
what it did. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But again, 100%, thank you so much. I think the fans are really going to appreciate to hear from you in this particular incident and or from this. And the next time I have you on, I promise you it'll be a lot more fluff questions, okay?
That sounds good. Yeah, I might get in trouble for this, but we'll see.
Well, I'll say this one thing. The average 4,200 right now through, I think, 6 games played in Binghamton, 2 sellouts so far. Your staff is doing awesome. You really need to give them another raise. I'm just saying that. I
don't know about that, but we'll give them something.
Give them another ring, right?
Yeah, another ring. What's better? I mean, money you can always make, right? These rings, you have to win them. So
that's true.
That's our focus. Put the money on the ice.
All right. He is Andreas Johansson. He is the owner of the Binghamton Black Bears, and we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
You're listening to the Power Play Post Show. Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. I've got a great guest here for you. I'm very excited for you guys to get to know him just a little bit more, as I've gotten to know him a little bit over the last 20 minutes. He comes to us from the Binghamton Black Bears. He is their defenseman. He was paired up with Jesse Anderson over the past 4 or 5, maybe 6 games. He is Cam Cervone. Cam, welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you for having me on.
So Cam, let's talk a little bit about where you're from. You are from, obviously, Michigan, but Rochester Hills, Michigan. What can you tell me about Rochester Hills, Michigan? Just what the town or the city is like?
Yeah, obviously, born and raised Detroit area, Rochester Hills, Michigan. Grew up there, like I said, my whole life. Very there's some hills, like Rochester Hills, but like I said, nice little cute little downtown. Obviously, I was there till I was 18, till I moved away from high school. But it's just like it's home to me, and obviously my family still resides there. But it's been nothing but an amazing experience in my hometown. Just about 35. Roughly 35, 40 minutes outside of Detroit, but like I said, not far from Detroit at all. But yeah, it's obviously somewhere I'm always going to call home, and obviously I still miss my family and friends who are back in Michigan. But obviously, and life takes you different avenues. But that would be somewhere I'll always call home. So,
Rochester Hills, obviously being so close to Detroit, you grew up a Detroit fan. We just talked about that for a few minutes. Tigers fan. I'm going to guess a Red Wings fan as well, and probably Lions fan, correct?
Correct. Oh, yeah.
Now, was there any thought for you to play any other sport? Did you play other sports, when you were a youth athlete?
Yeah, when I was younger, I think I tried about every single sport there is. Baseball, football. I think I tried soccer at one point, but my second sport was actually baseball. Unfortunately, I played up till high school. Played baseball up till high school, but unfortunately I had to quit because of hockey, which was, obviously as sad as that is, I still miss baseball. I definitely think I chose the right route eventually. But I played pretty much every sport growing up. I was a sports fanatic, as my parents would say. I picked up any sports ball or, stick, obviously stick or, lacrosse stick or whatever.
Sure.
So yeah, a lot of sports growing up, which was a very fun childhood for sure.
Now, when you were younger, the teams getting on them, obviously hockey, for sure around Detroit, obviously football, baseball, very competitive for youth sports. Was it easy or difficult to get ice time to go and practice and play when you were young?
Well, I'm trying to think back now. I think, yes and no. I mean, in the summer, definitely hard just because there's only, so many rinks are open, but definitely no shortage of ice time when I was younger in the winter. Just because I was probably on the ice at least 3 or 4 times, maybe 5 times a week. So really not necessarily shortage of ice time. Obviously, in the summer, anywhere you go, there's going to be a shortage, but
because there's
still
still
on the ice a good amount.
Because there's probably still a lot of players also trying to get that ice time as well during the summertime, at least to get a skate or 2 in maybe a week or every couple weeks. Correct?
Oh, for sure. Yes, it's definitely very, very competitive to get ice time. Obviously, a lot of players from Michigan, especially, are trying to obviously train in the summer as well. So it's definitely a little bit. Competitive to get ice time. For instance, me and Blake Tosto actually train together in the summer. So I think we skate about once or usually twice a week in the summer. It's pretty hard to get ice time for the most part. It's definitely gonna be competitive for sure. But during the winter, growing up, definitely no shortage of ice time for sure.
Okay, so you brought up Blake. Talk a little bit about that relationship between you and Blake, because you guys didn't just train with each other. You guys actually played against each other a lot in youth hockey, correct?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. It's a funny story. Me and Blake basically grew up playing against each other. Throughout the years, we played for I think probably about 7-8 years. I was on one team, he was on the other in AA hockey, and our teams would always go at each other, and then moved to AAA. We played against each other for 3 or 4 years, and then it's funny coincidence. This is the first time we're actually going to be on a team together, here in Binghamton, which is it's funny how things come full circle, and we have a lot of mutual friends as well, and we just past 4 years training together, we've actually developed a good friendship. I was going to ask you, when did the friendship start? When did the training together start? Yeah, it was about 3 or 4 years. 4 years ago, we train at a gym called Michigan Athletic Training. We call it the Mat. Not only we train there, we do on ice stuff, but we actually have a summer league team, elite summer league team. We play against a lot of NHL, AHL pro guys, college guys, junior guys, and we actually play on a team in the summer, and we actually won it this year. So it was our first time winning it. So it was kind of a little, I would say, a little foreshadowing me and Toast playing with each other coming into here. But it was a cool little moment for us.
Now, you're a defenseman. He's a forward. He can play pretty much any position there on the forward line. But talk about how you guys can still train together. Is it more still one-on-one against each other, or that the training process for the two of you when you're training together? How does that work?
Well, it's, on the ice, it's more we do a lot of we have a group within the Michigan athletic training. Together, we do a lot of skill work together, like just a lot of training in the summer on the ice. Guys that are from different teams and different leagues, in that environment. And then we actually this summer there's a park right by my house that has a roller hockey rink with a regulation size net. So this summer we're actually going there and shooting pucks together and kind of doing our own little training thing. And that was cool. We do that once or twice a week, and then we do some conditioning together, just kind of obviously get ready for the season here. And it was kind of our own little thing that we did there. But on the ice was we had a really good group that trained together. So it's kind of more skills, I would say. Mm-hmm. But we did more skill stuff together. Just the little things to find help our game. That's just obviously the little things that will help. So.
Cam, you spent a lot of time on the road traveling with different teams in junior hockey. Some people would say, well, not on the same team for, more than 1 year in some cases. But to me, it almost seems like an advantage. You got to see different parts of the United States and even a little bit in Canada in your junior hockey career. How do you look at that going, from team to team? Because I don't think some fans understand. Junior hockey is competitive. Even if it's, the level 2, it's still very competitive.
Oh, for sure. Especially juniors is definitely that, juniors to me is definitely that intro to
pro hockey.
Pro hockey, correct. Yeah. Exactly. That intro to pro hockey where, obviously you're not getting paid for, keep your, obviously everything's kept for NCAA, eligibility.
Yep.
But like you said, I definitely, obviously, I've been around the block in a couple teams, more a couple teams in juniors, but, instead of looking at it, as a disadvantage, there were definitely some, there was ups and there was definitely some downs, through my, junior hockey experience. But like I said, I wouldn't trade the experience. I definitely look at it as a positive. I got to not only see different parts of the country, especially different country on the west coast of Canada and British Columbia.
Yeah.
I got to be down in Texas, in Corpus Christi, Texas, Topeka, Kansas, Springfield, Illinois, and Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and just being able to see different parts of the country, especially with players that are from different parts, not only from the country, but different parts of the United States, but from different countries in Europe as well. And I still have a lot of amazing friendships built through that, and still keep in touch with a couple of guys too. And I like to say, some things are definitely more than hockey at the end of the day. And I'm grateful for my hockey experience, but off the ice is just as important as well. So.
No, I totally agree with you, and I'm going to put you on the spot here. Of those, 5 cities that you got to play in, Wilkes-Barre, mm-hmm. Springfield, Topeka, Corpus Christi, and then, of course, being in Canada, what was your favorite of those 5 places? I'm going to put you on the spot. What was your favorite of those 5 cities, more so than the teams? I don't want you to pick between teammates necessarily, but pick between those 5 cities.
It's very hard because I'll be honest, I loved every city I was in. I looked at the positive of every city.
Come on, we don't live in a PC world anymore. You got to pick one. Got to pick one.
Fair enough. I'd say for more the living, kind of the more of can't believe I'm playing hockey moment is definitely Corpus Christi, Texas.
Really?
Especially being a beach town. Yeah, right on the water, especially right on the Gulf of Mexico. The arena was just a really cool experience being able to just live in that environment in Texas. But like I said, I loved every single part of it. I liked Topeka, I liked Springfield, I liked Wilkes-Barre. I even liked British Columbia, being in the mountains. I guess if I had to choose one, it would be Corpus, but I liked every single one of them.
That's very cool. That's very cool. What did you learn about yourself playing junior hockey? Because it's different than when you're playing high school hockey or or even travel hockey. There's a different level of competitiveness, maybe speed of the game changes from when you're still in high school and then you go and you kind of move away. What did you learn about yourself in that level of hockey?
Yeah, overall hockey, obviously. Especially just in any level you move up, the speed of the game is all is going to change, and definitely adapting to, obviously adapting to the speed is one thing, but especially learning as I was getting into practices in juniors, first couple practices, it's as you move up levels, it's always just the little things. It's just little things guys do, especially the veterans, just the little things they do that makes them successful. Where that just like stick positioning, angle of your feet, just like little things like that. It just kind of it's honestly learning about those little things that they may seem little in that aspect, but actually it could help a lot. Help your game a lot. Just have in six, especially as a D-man, six positioning and just having being in the right spots for plays and stuff like that. That was the number one thing I kind of learned going into juniors, and was kind of taught, and I really that was something I carried myself through juniors going up to the college ranks and now in pro. But that was definitely one thing. It's just the little things to the game, I guess.
Sure.
Something I've learned.
So your first year of college, when you get to SUNY Geneseo, obviously the world shuts down, right? And we go through COVID, and you don't get to play any games that season, and you probably just had to sit there and concentrate on schoolwork. Probably the first year for you where you may have hit the ice in practice, but you didn't play in any competitive games. Talk to me a little bit about that year, what that was like.
Yeah, that was hard to believe that was a little while ago now, but yeah, that was definitely a hard. Obviously, it's a hard year, right? Especially growing up when you're playing. If you've played 18, 19 plus years at that point, you're every single year you've played hockey, right? You've played hockey games, and obviously when being in there and you're told you're not going to have a season, obviously not only it was tough. It was obviously tough mentally, and you're sitting there, you're like, shoot, you should be playing a hockey game tonight, right? Throughout that whole aspect, but obviously, there were bigger things going on in the world in that perspective, and totally understandable. But it was good to definitely get acclimated back into the school grind after being off school for 3 years. So kind of that was good, able to get my schoolwork, and then we were actually still able to practice throughout that time as well, which was great. So that actually helped me kind of get acclimated to the college aspect. We learned systems in college, what we were doing at Geneseo, and that was as tough as it is not playing hockey games. It still was kind of still looked at the positives, still getting used to being a freshman in the program and getting used to that aspect. And I'll give them a shout out to those guys at Geneseo and Chris Schultz and Chris Sears and Mitch Stevens, Dan Bozio. They run an amazing program, and they did a great job during that time. So,
yeah, I was going to ask you. Awesome. I was going to ask you about Chris Schultz, and how did he talk to you guys and kind of keep you guys? I don't want to say motivated, but maybe keep a positive attitude, even though you guys weren't going to be able to play games. You guys obviously got to practice, but how did he keep you? What were the conversations like with him during that year? Because it's obviously, if you're a senior, that's a crappy year, right? You don't want to end your senior year that way. And I know in some cases, some guys stayed for a fifth year to do that. In some college programs, they stayed for a fifth year to play the next year because they lost that year. What were the conversations like with Chris Schultz and Chris Sears?
Yeah, they're obviously, given the situation, it's tough for any coach, right? But Chris Schultz, Coach Schultz, and they did an amazing job just trying to keep our spirits high. And obviously, it's a tough situation. He knows that we want to play hockey games, and he wants to get in the battle with us and play hockey games. Obviously, knowing him, but he kept everything very positive. And his big thing with the program is was having a great culture in the room, and he definitely did a great job of keeping that culture together, is trying to keep guys' spirits high. And obviously that's a tough time, but Coach Schultz did an awesome job just keeping us, especially going to the rink, practicing, right? You're not working towards the game, but trying to keep things light and fun, and while integrating obviously systems for us freshmen to kind of keep it, get us acclimated to the college game. And like I said, nothing but great things to say about Chris Schultz and Chris Sears, and Mitch Stevens, Dan Bozio, they've done an amazing job with that program, and it's nothing great things to say about them.
Now, this is about the same time that you actually were able to meet Brant Sherwood for the first time. Am I remembering that story correctly?
Yes, correct. That summer after my freshman year.
Yeah. Can you tell the fans a little bit about how that happened for you?
Yeah, so I stayed going into my sophomore year that summer. I stayed in New York, Geneseo area to pursue my in-state tuition. Obviously, work in Rochester and all that. So I was actually in touch with my coaches, Chris Schultz, Chris Heers, and just obviously figuring out something to do that summer, training-wise and everything. And they actually got me in touch with one of our Geneseo hockey alum, Andy Rice, who's our strength and conditioning coach here in Binghamton for the Black Bears. And I got in touch with him, and we were able to skate and work out and help him with camps, help him out with his strength conditioning program he has going on in Rochester, and that's how I was able to meet. And Brant has been working out with. He worked out with Andy. For, I think 6+ years, he was saying, and just that's how he, being in the hockey world, that's how we got connected, and we had some good locker room chats, and get to know Brant, just as a person, and it's we had nothing but great conversations, and it's some good times in the locker room for sure.
and then obviously 3 years later, or just a couple years later, you're then joining the Black Bears. Sometimes networking in those relationships kind of pay off and give you opportunities later on. That's why some people have to almost kind of be open to those type of things.
For sure, yeah. It's that obviously having that network is really is important, right? And not only just hockey in general. And I tell people, it's always funny how things work out, right? And you never know what can happen just in life, right? And having that, it's just funny how things work out.
Sure.
It really does, and how things come full circle. And Brant and Andy are awesome people, and it was definitely when this opportunity arose to come to Binghamton, it was definitely a no-brainer to be part of a great organization here in Binghamton.
You and I talked a little bit off air. I would love for you to tell the fans, there are some aspects of living in Michigan where you kind of grew up and being in upstate New York, whether it be up near the Rochester area when you went to college, at SUNY Geneseo, or here in Binghamton, that kind of remind you of home. Can you talk to the fans a little bit about those kind of similarities between the two states? Because a lot of people don't think, Michigan and New York are the same, but there are some similarities as well. Yeah,
for sure. And it's almost funny. Everyone's like, when I'm back home in Michigan, everyone's like, how's New York? How I was going to school? How's school? How's Binghamton? And I go, like, how is it there? Is it similar? I tell them honestly, it's very similar to home in Michigan. It's very Binghamton, Geneseo, where I've been. It's very similar to home. I just tell them the weather is very similar. Basically, get the same temperatures and same weather just a day later from Michigan. And obviously, it's the same, almost like architecture, like everywhere you go, it's very similar. And I would say the only difference I'd say is there's definitely more mountains here than there is in Michigan. That's for sure. It's even my parents when they came to Binghamton for the home opener, and they said it's very similar to home, and it reminded them of home as well, and they're very happy about that.
Now, what were your initial reactions to the fans in Binghamton in the stands? Because I'm going to guess that you've played in some of the, in front of more fans here in Binghamton than you have in most places that you've played at. And that's not a disrespect or a braggadocious type of thing for Binghamton, but it's just, kind of reality. Binghamton has had pro hockey for, 52 years. What was your initial reaction when you went out on that ice? I mean, obviously you had practiced on it. You went through camp, and you get to practice, and then boom, you're playing in front of almost 4,800 fans the first night. That type of scenario. What was that like when you first got on the ice and you saw that many fans out there?
the home opener was definitely probably I would say one of the coolest moments of my hockey career. Just being able to skate out for warm-ups and see the fan support just for warm-ups. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is by far the coolest thing I've been a part of in my career, and it was very eye-opening from the moment I came to Binghamton. Just on all aspects, it's been nothing short of amazing from our fan base. Everyone, the amount of support we get for our team, it's actually speechless. It's amazing. Everyone is very welcome. It's just very welcoming to the area. It's interacting with the fans and with the booster club. Everyone's very nice, very welcoming to the area, and they could see why this is, one of, if not the best fan bases in minor pro hockey, in my opinion. And I see the support, I see the love for the game within the Binghamton area through the fans, and it makes you want to play that extra hard, play extra hard for them each and every night, just to see how proud they are to support us in general. And it's been amazing experience so far, and I can't thank everyone coming out to support us enough. It's been amazing.
Put yourself in Coach Sherwood's shoes for a second, okay? Or put yourself in his skates for a second. He pairs you up with Jesse Anderson, and it seems to be a good pairing. Why do you think he thinks it's a good pairing, you and Jesse Anderson on the same D line?
I think we complement each other's game well. Obviously, Jesse has a little more of an offensive mindset on the defensive side. He plays very well on the defensive end, but he's able to skate the puck up and have that little extra offense to his game. And I think we complement each other. Obviously, I'm a little more defensive minded, so I'm able to hang back a little bit more. But I think we also read off each other really well. Even when I jump up in the play, he's able to stay back, and I think we're able to kind of just read off each other's game, and I think we complement each other pretty well, in my opinion. So it's been going. I think it's been going really well so far. And Jesse's been awesome to listen to, especially him being a veteran. He has a lot of good tips, and just listening to him, learning from him each and every day too, has been awesome.
No, without a doubt. So obviously this past weekend, Binghamton playing in Danbury 2 nights in a row, 2 great wins, of course. But on Friday night, your D partner goes down. Where were you on the ice, and what was going on, and what do you remember from the incident?
Yeah, I actually just got off the ice. I was out there with Jesse, and I just got off the ice for a change. And obviously see the pile, and it is definitely a very seeing him in that moment was definitely very very scary, especially not just being not only my D-darter but a teammate. Just
sure.
That is just definitely hard to see, and I'm in that moment you just pray he gets the help that he needs in that situation. And it's definitely always hard to see a teammate like that go down in that situation. And like I said, it's just a hard moment for sure.
Yeah, and then Ramaker's obviously Scotty comes in and helps out on that line, and then of course Emerson Emery, who's already played a little bit of defense. I think you guys paired up on Saturday. Was it easy or difficult to play with Emery on the line together with you?
I thought it was easy. I thought Emerson came in and did a great job. He's done, ever since coming back on D, he's done an excellent job. I tell him before, just keep it simple and let's go out there and have fun, and just kind of keeping it light. And we talked a little off. I thought Emerson's done a tremendous job coming in the back end and doing an awesome job, and I thought we did an awesome job together, just kind of reading off each other. And he's not only is a hockey player, but he's a good person too, and he works hard, and I'm happy for him because he's doing it awesome on the back end, and I thought we did tremendous together as a pair on the weekend as well. We came in, stepped in, and did an awesome job.
Oh, I totally agree. A 4-0 win on Saturday was pretty awesome, and and when Eggy had to, he kind of bailed you guys out when he had to. There was a couple great saves that he had to make, which is obviously very important. You always want that. You and Nick are the true rookie defensemen on the team. Who's the one guy on the team that you guys really get the most advice from defensively wise?
Ooh, I wouldn't say there's one guy in particular, but listen to the guys like Dakota Bond, Dan Stone, Weaves, and Ando. Just all four of those guys. They always have some good insight to say, and just learning from those guys. Obviously, they've been around the block and won a championship last year here, and just kind of taking any advice from all four of those guys. We're always talking in practice, learning off each other, and those guys, and especially keep it fun on the back end, but we all learn from each other. So I wouldn't say one guy per se. So all four of those guys have been tremendous help for us, I would say.
Now, Cam, you guys still got two more games. Your next two games are still against Danbury. One in Danbury on Saturday, and of course, next Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, you guys will play at home. Finally, back at home against the Hat Tricks. How do you guys prepare, especially after the craziness that went down on Saturday? How do you guys prepare for the game on Saturday? As we all know at this point, in recording here on Wednesday, Brant Sherwood has been suspended for 4 games, and of course, Kyle Stephan has also been suspended for 2 games. How do you guys prepare for that Saturday game where you're going back in that environment again?
Yeah, definitely. Going back to Danbury on Saturday, it's not an easy place to play, and but it's for me. It's you got to keep doing what we're doing. It's business as usual. We go in there and obviously go in there, play our game, play the right way. Stay disciplined and come out there with 3 points. Like I said, just business as usual. Just play out. We just got to keep playing our game, play Black Bears hockey. That's how we get ready for Saturday.
All right, so I have one last question for you, and this is a very important question. Do the Lions get to the Super Bowl this year?
I really do. I really think they do so. I think they do. And I think I've been talking to a couple of the guys here especially. I really do think it's going to be a Lions-Bills Super Bowl. I really do. Well, there's a lot of Bills fans on the team, if I remember correctly. There are indeed, and I would love to see that matchup, and I'm starting to think it's potentially going to happen, and that, needless to say, those two teams meet on December 15th in Detroit too. So I'm excited for that one as well. Does Toast also think that the Lions are going to make it to the Super Bowl? In our household, we're pretty confident right now, so I believe so. That's good, because in my household, we're Giants and Cowboys fans, and that ain't going to happen. So we're not getting there. None of us are. Not with Dak going down. Cam, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to have gotten to talk to you now. Hopefully, when I see you down in the corner, we can say hello, fist pump, whatever. Again, I will say this to you because I truly believe this. Brant Sherwood finds good quality character guys, smart guys, articulate guys, and that's the reason why this team is successful. Sometimes it's not just about hockey skills. It's not just about, your hockey IQ. Sometimes it really is about character, and you guys all seem to have that. I've definitely found that true to be very, very true, and again, appreciate you coming on. Thank you, Bob. I really appreciate you. Appreciate everything. Thank you for having me on, and thank you. All right, and we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's BinghamtonHockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. That was Cam Cervone. We've also had Andreas Johansson on. Thank you to both of them for coming on and talking to us and giving us a little bit of insight, even on even Cam's part, just a little bit of this past weekend and the games that they played against the Danbury Hat Tricks. Okay, so obviously this upcoming week, one game against Danbury, and then we have a quick turnaround to next Wednesday when they will play against Danbury again, but at the friendly confines of the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena, and it should be a fun night for the Black Bears fans as you know, it's the night before Thanksgiving. Everybody's got time off generally after that. Hopefully not too many of you have to work on Thanksgiving anymore. I know Black Friday and Thanksgiving, that whole blurred thing has kind of changed just a little bit, thankfully, for most, because it was getting a little out of control having stores open up so early in the morning on Black Friday. And some of them then going, oh, well, we'll just open up at 10 o'clock on Thanksgiving. People want to shop then, right? No, people want to stay home and spend time with their families. So Wednesday night against the Danbury Hat Tricks at home. This upcoming Saturday, if you're going, be safe. And let's just hope that the team goes down there. They ignore all the distractions because you know there's still going to be some distractions. It's just the way it is down there in Danbury. And they just come out with 3 points and a win, even without Brant Sherwood behind the bench, even without Kyle Stephan. I'm guessing that Jesse Anderson will be back in the lineup, which will be great for the Black Bears. So the Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast, and please subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. We've had almost over 50, probably the most in 1 week for the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Thank you so much for everybody who has joined our group. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. Thank you to Rob Lapolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, as well as owner of the Binghamton Black Bears, Andreas Johansson, giving us a little bit of time and talking to me a lot over the last couple of days, and the Binghamton Black Bears rookie defenseman, Cam Cervone. I am Bob Howard. Thank you very much for listening. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Petitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.